Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Racha HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, from whom I learned this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 elect. I am Mayakala. And the name of this one will be Trust in the Lord. And I just have a few verses that I want to bring out in the book of Psalms. And in case you've started to notice, I really do love the book of Psalms and the book of Proverbs. I love just reading of the wisdom and the understanding that these two books give. But this won't be a very long lesson because I just have a few verses that I wanted to bring out. Let me get right into it. The first verse that I wanted to go to was Psalm 37. And verse 3, it says, Trust in the Lord Yahweh and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. And when it's talking about dwelling in this land, it's talking about dwelling in the land that was given to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The land that was promised to them and promised to the generations after. All right. And of course that would be the land that we would prosper in, because we know that this land of so-called America, or Babylon the Great, where we do not prosper here, because this is not our rest. So that's where that trust in the Lord comes in, is that, and believing his promise that once we are delivered back into our homeland, that's where we will be prospered. That's where we will be fed. The next verse that I want to go into is Psalms, and I'm going to go over to chapter 115 in verse 11. And it says, Ye that fear the Lord Yahweh, trust in the Lord Yahweh. He is their help and their shield. And I want to take a look at this word shield. And it is H4043, and I'll give you a pronunciation of it.
Strong's H 4043. My gain. My gain.
All right, and under the biblical usage, it just says shield and buckler. And let's take a look at the root of the word, and I'll give you a pronunciation of it.
Strong's H 1598. Ganan. Ganan.
All right, and under the biblical usage, it says to defend, cover, or surround, to defend. It says under the Strong's definition of primitive root, to hedge about, to protect or defend. And that's what you get when you trust, and when you're trusting in the Lord rather than putting your trust in the man, because man is going to let you down every time. All right. But when you trust in the Lord, he will defend you. He will be a hedge of protection around you. All right. It's let me go back here. I have a precept to this verse too that I wanted to go back into. I wanted to go back into Psalms 37 and verse 5. So lucky I didn't mean to jump around, but verse 5 says, Commit thy way unto the Lord Yahweh, and trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. In the NLT, it says, Commit everything you do to the Lord Yahweh. Trust in him, and he will help you. So in everything you do, everything that you venture out to do, you trust in the Lord, because I know there's some times where, I mean, there's always it's kind of best to try to formulate a plan and try to make sure that you have a direction when you want to achieve something. But there are times where you step out and you're not sure. You're not even sure of what the plan that you've made, because I mean that would be you trusting in yourself. But you still, even though you've gathered a plan, and you still have to trust in the Lord. All right, the preparation that you have is good, but you have to ultimately trust in the Lord, because He'll see that plan through. If you put in your trust in Him and not just putting all your trust in your plan and in belief in just yourself, because the Lord is the one that guides our steps, that allows things to happen in our lives. All right. And I just have a few more that I wanted to bring out. Psalm 118 and verse 8. And it says, "It is better to trust in the Lord Yahweh than to put confidence in man." And just like I said, as we can see right now, with the way these SNAP benefits are going, and a lot of these WIC programs are going, people are finding themselves in a desperate situation and desperate measures and uncertain, because they have put all their trust into Babylon. They put all their trust into DJT, figuring that he's gonna make America great again. He's gonna pave the way for them and make them safe. All right, and they've trusted so much in this system. You're seeing a lot of people being let down, because they're starting to see that this is not in His hands. All right, it's in the Lord's hands. He's the one who controls DJT. He's the one who's going to turn his head and guide him, and he's going to do only what he can, what the Lord allows him to do. So to put all your trust into this system and to put all your trust into a president, you can be let down very easily, because that's nothing to trust in. You have to trust in the Lord. He is the ultimate guide. He is the ultimate who's going to determine what the outcome of this is going to be. And I want to go to Proverbs chapter 3. And verse 5. And it says, "Trust in the Lord Yahweh with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding." And since we're here, I want to take a look at this word heart, because it's when you're saying trust in the Lord with all thine heart, it's not talking about organ as your heart. It's talking about with all your mind, with all your will, with all your knowing. All right, and it is H3820, and I think we've gone over this word before, but I'm going to do it again. Here's the pronunciation.
Strong's H3820. Lave.
All right, so we know there's no V in the Hebrew. It's lav. And it says, under the biblical usage, it says the inner man, the mind with the will. And it says heart and understanding with the inner part. All right, so this is just trusting in the Lord with all your mind and with all your being. Put all your trust in the Lord. All right, because we have times where we hope for a certain outcome, but ultimately we have to trust in the Lord that the Lord is going to do what's right, whether He gives us things the way we want it to happen, or He's going to give us what's best for us ultimately. Let's see, under the Strong's definition, it says lav, a form of the heart, also used figuratively, very widely for the feelings, the will, and even the intellect. All right, I'm not going to go into all of it, but that's just showing you, when it's talking about the heart, it's talking about your mind. Trust in the Lord with all your mind, with all your being. And just as I said, there's a lot of times where we even may, and this kind of reminds me of something that we even may have dreams, and sometimes we have dreams and we look for an interpretation. You can't lean to your own understanding, because sometimes you can misinterpret a dream. All right, ultimately, if it is a dream that has come from the Lord, because sometimes that is how He comes to us, you have to trust in the Lord, especially if it's one of those dreams where it has that, it gives you that favorable outcome, or it gives you that good feeling, and it's something that you may indeed hope might happen. Because I mean, sometimes those dreams can come to us, and it can be something that's of our innermost thoughts, something that's on our mind, or something that might even prayed to the Lord for. All right, but ultimately you can't lean to your own understanding. All right, the only thing that you can do is for that favorable outcome. You can pray to the Lord and trust in the Lord that if it is to be a dream that is going to be, that has come to you from the Lord and is going to be fulfilled, that's the only thing you can do is trust in the Lord. It's just like Daniel. Daniel was an interpreter of the Lord. I mean, but ultimately it was the Lord. And even when the king Nebuchadnezzar came to him and said that he knew that he could interpret dreams, that's exactly what Daniel told him. Daniel told him that it was not him who interprets the dreams, but it's the Lord who interprets dreams and gives him the interpretation of the dream. And that is how he was able to interpret the king Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And just to go further, mentioning in that story, ultimately when Azariah, Mishael, and Shadrach were put into the fire, they themselves trusted in the Lord. They walked into that fire. They went right, even though they were bound, they went right into that fire, and they trusted in the Lord because they knew that trusting in the Lord, He was the only one. The Lord is the only one who could deliver them from that fire. And I just want to read a quick verse from there. It's Daniel chapter 3 and verse 28. It says, "Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own power." So you can see that even in the midst of the fire, they were bound and thrown into the midst of the fire. Those three trusted in the Lord, and the Lord delivered them from that fire. When they came out of that fire, they didn't even have a smell of fire on them. And the Lord was there with them. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai was in that fire with them and delivered them from them. All right, but just going back into just got one more that I wanted to go to. I'm done in the book of Proverbs. I'm going to go over to Isaiah chapter 26. And I'm going to go to verse 4. It says, "Trust in the Lord Yahweh forever, for in the Lord," and it says Jehovah there, but we know that's Yahweh. It says, trust ye in the Lord Yahweh forever, for in the Lord Yahweh is everlasting strength. And I also just want to bring up that word. Let's go and look at that word Jehovah, because even though it says Jehovah there, like I said, we know that there's no V in the Hebrew alphabet. All right, and it is H3068. And you can see that it says Yahweh. All right, and I'll give you a pronunciation of it, even though they're going to pronounce it wrong.
Strong's H3068. Yehovah. Yehovah.
All right, and it is Yahweh. It says the existing one, the proper name of the one true power. All right. And one thing I wanted to point out here, because when we see the word Lord in the Bible, and it is in all caps, and I might have mentioned this before in previous lesson, but I want to mention it again while we're looking at it. It is the exact same word. It says Lord here, and it's in all caps, but it is H3068, just as Yahweh, H3068 is the exact same word when you look at Lord. All right, and I'll even give you another pronunciation of it.
Strong's H3068. Yehovah. Yehovah.
All right, just to prove that when you see the Lord in all caps that way in the scriptures, it is Yahweh. That's who it's referring to. That's who it's talking about. It's talking about Yahweh. All right. I just want to go and point that out. All right. And like I said, this was not going to be very long. I just want to bring out those few verses and stress the importance of how important it is to trust in the Lord and not put your trust in man. All right, because man is going to let you down. Just as you can see, this system, even though it's reigned for a little while, you can see this system is coming to an end. All right, this system is failing. All right, because the end of this kingdom is coming to an end. All right, but I'm going to leave it there, and I pray that this has been edifying to the listener. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKodesh. Shalom.